This is the same client from the previous comb line video. I convinced her to let me put a rooted shade in the back of her head because her hair just doesn't blend with the blonde root of her extensions now that her hair got all fried off. So what I did was just on the very back section, I put a rooted R360. However, her hair wasn't long enough to cover the actual root. So I decided to add K-tips to the weft. Now you want to make sure when you're getting the hair that you're only getting the hair from that top weft layer, or you're not going to be able to do a move up. And I'm just grabbing small sections, and I kind of did like a morph between comb line and K-tips. So I took that section and I clipped it on with my shield. I then took pieces from some I-tips of R360, but I wanted the root to be shorter. So I just grabbed a section of hair that was the same size or less as the section of weft that I'm putting it on. And I cut it to have a teeny bit of root so it would blend in with that root on the weft, but not too much root. And I spilled all my keratin powder. Then I dipped it in, and I just did a little bit onto the K-tip, or to the hair that I'm making into a K-tip. So I didn't do a ton of powder. And then I just grabbed that and went over to my weft. I'm using my 2-finger ring finger thumb technique from comb line. Pulled that down so that she still had a little bit of root, but not too much. And then I'm just basically taking the rest of the keratin that was on the tool and just kind of wiping it on to seal them both together. And instead of rolling my bond, I just kind of squeezed it with my fingers so it would stay nice and flat. If I rolled them, it might be more noticeable if her hair moves. And I used a darker color keratin so that would blend with that root color. So I'm going to show you one more time. I grabbed a little layer on the top, and I didn't want to make these super chunky, so I just did small pieces. And I wanted to make sure that when her hair is down, it doesn't look too rooty because that root is too long on the weft. So I'm cutting the hair from the I-tips with a little bit of a root on the hair so that it will blend, and checking to make sure I have the right amount of hair. I don't want more hair than is in that section on the weft. And then I dip my tool in the powder just a little bit, get it tacky, and then you're just going to slightly wipe it onto your tip and make sure you're holding that hair super firm in your left hand. And I squeeze the tip before I put it on just to make sure it's nice and flat. And then I'm going to drag it down about 1 inch because I do want some root. I just didn't want 3 inches of root. I just needed 1 inch of root. Then I'm just taking the rest of the keratin that was on my tool and just sliding it on and squeezing it flat with my fingers. This way she is going to have nice highlighted look on that root to blend better with her top layer because it's so short it barely covers. So here you can see I put a bunch of them in, and you can see how it's looking less rooty and more of a highlighted look.